Yeah, so just putting it out there, because the origin story has been like a source of disinformation and conspiracy theories. So what I
The or
hope,
when you say the origin story, are you talking about the it coming from that live animal market, or just about the animal that it came from, or
yeah,
whatever?
like all of it, like the location, the animal, and like how it went from from what animal to a human, because now there's so much uncertainty, right? Because the way science works is that you posit an hypothesis, and then you have to get some evidence for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of thing takes time. So, but you have I can repeat a bunch of these conspiracy theories that I've been hearing, but like, and and what's even crazy is that you have people who are close to me and like, who repeat some of these conspiracy theories, and I always say, I always say this in general, like there are people who spend 20 years of their lives in school and 40 years of practicing medicine, but like some people who spend their lives working on these types of things, and
Mm-hmm.
then they come out and say, well, we don't know yet where it's coming from. We have an hypothesis that it's probably coming from here, but so far we're recommending you to like wash your hands, do this, do that, So I'm talking about our health professionals, health
Mm-hmm.
officials. But then you have some people you don't even know what they do. They're just on Facebook, on Twitter. You don't even know what's their credential. Then they'll tell you some wild story about, okay, and some of them might even put a doctor in their name. Yeah, I think you know who I'm talking about. Might say,
Dr. Umar Johnson.
I'm not saying any individual, but and then they'll say a bunch of stuff and people will believe them. I'm not saying the thing is, I'm not saying you have to believe what the doctor tells you every time, but man, look at where just the the question of burden of proof. Like
Mm-hmm.
who should you believe in a situation like this? A random person on YouTube or someone who spent his life or her life working on these types of things. You have to practice some judgment.
But I think also why some people gravitate to that, obviously, sometimes it has to do with just your identity within that person, like if you see yourself within that person. But
Mhm,
also, I think it's the fact that these guys are so confident.
mhm,
Like the way they speak is as if this is a fact. So you look at the way they speak, and then you superpose the way health officials speak. They're like, we don't know. This might be the case. We don't know. We don't know. People don't like to hear I don't know. They want an answer. And you
mhm,
have like these doctors who will remain nameless that aren't really, well, who knows what they are, fam. But they're not health officials.
mhm,
We don't know what their credentials are. But the way they speak is as if, no, this and that, that's the facts.
mhm,
And a lot of people are like, damn, he knows what he's talking about. And a lot of information communication has to do with just the delivery of that information. Like the
mhm,
more confident you are, the more people will believe that, oh, this guy must be telling the truth, right? And you see that even in arguments, like the person who just is like you confident is what he's saying is honestly most people believe what they're saying. And
mhm,
I think that's a major flaw, especially now, because I think it's one of the first times where I really, and I'm seeing this a lot from like authorities and etc. People simply don't know, like they
mhm,
don't have, and often like obviously it's the job of the media to go looking for these answers, but
mhm,
like the reporters, they do the job, they ask the question, they ask the questions, but and you see the same answer, like we don't know, I don't know, we're moved, like the situation is fluid, like everything keeps changing day by day, even hour by hour.
mhm.
So I think it's the first time like us as like consumer of news or whatever, we kind of have to also accept the fact that they don't have the answers.
Mhm.
Nobody really has all the answers.
Yeah, for sure. No, like, and the thing that you're seeing with officials saying that they don't know is the fact that you have health officials who are in front of the camera. Usually, it's usually just politicians talking about what experts told them. And obviously, politicians have to portray that confidence, and also they have to evade questions. So they can't say I don't know. You know,
Mm-hmm.
politicians do not say I don't know. They'll tell you the situation is evolving, blah blah blah. I'll get back. Probably they'll rarely say I'll get back to you. They'll probably just evade the question, you know. But now you have health officials in front of the TV, in front of the camera, telling people, you know, what's happening. And obviously, there's this phenomena. I forgot the name, but basically the gist of it is that the more you know about a subject, uh, the the least the less confident you'll tend to
To
show.
appear.
Yeah, you'll tend to appear
Mm.
because you know how much about the subject you don't know, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
and that's the thing with expertise, you know, expertise is not knowing everything, but it's rather knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know, you know.
Mm, yeah,
But
because I think one of my favorite quotes, I learned that in French class. I think I learned that in French class. I'm not sure, but it was that a man, like a man who knows everything, knows that he knows nothing.
exactly. So yeah, and but now you have these social media like health professionals. I don't know what you're going to call them, but these people who know everything, they'll man, what I'm seeing on social media is just nuts. People are telling me, saying, "Oh, this is the cure. It's coming from."
Oh, I think that's, and we'll probably get that later on into the show, but I think that's what hurts the most, like in terms of the, because yes, I think you should report on the progress that's happening
Mhm,
within finding the specific like strains of the virus and
mhm,
et cetera. But it makes it seems as if we could get the vaccine to the coronavirus within like a month. Like, and honest, and we know like even scientists, they know that minimum. If what's his name? He works for WHO. He's the assistant director. Bruce Elward. He's actually a Canadian, and now he works for WHO. He's the one that led their mission to China. He
mhm,
spoke about like we won't see a vaccine for this. Like it like minimum like until a year. Like it
mhm.
takes a long time for these vaccines to be created. But if you go off what you see on social media, you're like, okay, a vaccine could be on the market by next month,
Mhm.
and it's like that's not the case.
Yeah, and people have to understand the thing with vaccines. I'm not obviously my background is not in like health sciences or anything, but from what I understand, these vaccines they take a long time. Not because like it's hard to get the right vaccine, but rather because there are safety procedures in place, you know, in how
Mm-hmm.
you go about testing a vaccine. Obviously, you have
Mm-hmm.
human trials and those kind of things, but the procedure itself is is made so that it takes a year. It's just a procedure
Mm-hmm.
of the testing, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously there's also the technical difficulty of actually developing the correct vaccine, right? So
Yeah.
if you put that together, it's not something that's going to come out in 1 month or 2 months. Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.